The Lust Dream, Chapter 1, The Shit Day. I remember it like it was yesterday. I went to sleep, very tired from all the shit I got at work today. My boss was a real pain in the ass today. After the workday I walked home. People walking by me were talking shit about the way I had smelled. Some girl looked at me and said, "God, you smell like shit." I stopped, turned around, aggravated from the day I had just had. I looked straight at her and said, "Fuck you." I continued walking. The shitty part was, my house was right across the street from a bar, so my house was usually surrounded by drunk people at night. It was about 8 p.m. now. I finally arrived home. The bar was playing music. I could hear it from my house. I went inside, my legs aching from the day, threw my coat onto the hook by the door, and went to take a shower. I got out later on, then ate some pizza. The time was 10 p.m. now. I yawned. I got up and walked to my room. I put some night clothing on and crawled into bed. I yawned again as I lied down to go to sleep, tired as hell. I slowly shut my eyes when all of a sudden there was a bright flash outside of my window. I looked at my window, confused at what that flash was. Nothing happened. I assumed it was some drunk dumbass lighting off fireworks, but that wouldn't make sense. There was no loud bang or people cheering after the bang went off. After the flash happened. I just rolled my eyes, rested my head on my pillow, and slowly fell asleep. Chapter 2, The Awakening. I woke up the next morning. The sun was shining through my window. Kinda strange. The sun usually doesn't shine around here. It's a very shitty neighborhood, and it rains a lot. I thought that this meant maybe today would be different, and a little did I know at the time it was going to be different. I got up and started to get dressed. As I walked into the living room, I noticed it was 8:30 a.m., but I didn't have to go to work until 10. So I had some time to relax and gather myself and prepare for the day. I sat on my couch and turned on my TV. My Little Pony was on. I decided to watch that. Mainly because, I kind of liked the show. I watched it until it was 9:30 a.m. I got up and got my jacket on, and I put my hood on as well. I decided to leave early for work for once because, honestly, the show had ended and I was starting to get bored. Got my shoes on, took some leave, and opened the door. Everything was the same as it usually is. I could see the bar across the street, closed at this time of the morning, of course, but still, beer cans and bottles lying everywhere. Picked up the ones that were on my lawn, threw them away, and started walking towards my workplace. So, as I was walking, I turned my head to the side. I saw an alley. It had a bright light at the end of it. Nobody was around me. I was curious what that bright light was. It was hypnotizing as I looked at it. So I walked down the alley slowly, looking behind me constantly to see if anybody was watching me. Nobody was. I kept walking towards it. The light slowly got brighter and brighter as I got closer. Suddenly it was too bright. I was blinded for a moment. Then I opened my eyes, and what I saw shocked me. Chapter 3, Where Am I? I slowly opened my eyes, and when I did, as I said before, it shocked me. I was in Ponyville. It didn't make any sense. How is this even possible? I started to walk around trying to figure out what the hell happened. I saw ponies everywhere. They all looked at me like I was an outsider, but I don't blame them. I was an outsider. I've never been to any place like this. I doubt anybody has. But I saw her. Some pony I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime. Final. There she was, walking wherever Octavia by her side. I was shocked. Both of them were just in the episodes I had just watched before. I wanted to say something, but I was way too nervous. I just walked away. I went to that cupcake place where Pinkie Pie and them are. There was surprisingly no one in there. That's good though. I could go without the staring for a little bit. I walked up to the lady at the counter. She asked me, "What would you like?" And I said, "I'm not really hungry. I do have some questions though." She looked at me with a confused face and then said, "What would those questions be?" I looked down at the floor, thinking of what to say and how to say it. I looked back up at her and said, how did I get here?" She went silent. I don't think she really understood what I meant. She just stood there looking at me. Eventually I got tired of sitting here waiting for her to say something. So I said, "Well, thanks anyway," and walked out of the store. Chapter 4. Meeting the Locals. As I was walking around, I saw something in the shadows looking at me. I couldn't make out what it was, but it continued watching me. I stopped and stared at it for a moment. I didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. I rolled my eyes and walked away. I kept walking until I found a bench, sat down on it. I heard rumbling in the bushes behind me. I turned my head towards the bushes to see what it was. Suddenly, my eyes were forced closed. I couldn't open them. I couldn't move. In my head, I thought, what the fuck is going on? Suddenly, I felt something kiss me. It giggled, and then I was able to hear it running away. And then I was able to move and opened my eyes again. I looked around. Nobody was there. I thought, what was that? I didn't understand. I got up and walked away. As I was walking, I found this dirt trail. I decided to walk down the trail. I saw the ever-free forest. I thought to myself, yeah, probably shouldn't go in there. I continued walking down the trail. Eventually the same thing happened again. Eyes forced closed. I couldn't move. I couldn't even talk. I felt something wrap their arm around me. I thought, what is happening? Something started kissing my cheek over and over. I didn't understand what was going on or why this was happening, but I couldn't really do anything about it. It started kissing me on the lips, wrapping its arm around the back of my head, started making out with me. Then, again, it giggled and I could hear it running away. I was able to open my eyes and move again. Nothing was there. I started to get a little creeped out at this point, but I continued walking down the trail. It later on just led to some castle. I saw guards all around it, so I assumed I probably shouldn't go there. So I turned back and started walking back. Chapter 5. Stalked. I walked down the trail thinking of what I'm going to do. Then it happened again. But this time it was different. Something tackled me from behind. I fell to the ground. I felt something on top of me. I flipped over and looked at it. It was vinyl. I looked at her as she stood on top of me. I muttered out, "Vinyl." I was very nervous. I didn't really know what to say. She looked down at me and smiled. She then took off her glasses and looked into my eyes. Her beautiful purple eyes, seeming like they are glowing. I sat there under her, silent, nervous as hell. Her horn then started glowing. Suddenly my eyes were forced to blink over and over, and I couldn't move. Then she stopped and said, "Remember me?" And I muttered out, that was you?" She nodded. She then bent down and kissed me. But it was different. It wasn't any kiss she did. She used her tongue and all that. She stopped and looked into my eyes again, and I managed to stutter out, Yep. I barely could talk. She smiled again, and then started licking my dick. She then slowly crawled up onto me, but while she did that, she licked my stomach as she crawled closer to my face. She looked into my eyes again. My eyes turned into hearts. She started making out with me while humping my dick. She kept doing that until I cummed. Then she got up, but still standing over me. She looked at me again. I was sitting there smiling and breathing heavily, surprised this is all happening. Then she said, "Ready for round 2?" And I looked at her surprised. Without hesitation, she leaned on me again, started making out with me again, and humped me again, and I cummed again. Then she got up, still standing over me once again. I'm sitting there breathing really heavily. Then she said, "Come on, is that all you got?" I looked at her again, really surprised. And of course she fucked me again. I cummed again. She got up again. This time she was breathing heavy too. She looked at me and said, "Pretty good for an amateur." I looked at her confused. I didn't know what she meant. She leaned her face really close to mine, her lips centimeters away from mine, and she whispered, "Tomorrow we will train, and you will be a lot better at that." She then kissed me once again, got off me, and walked away. Chapter 6, The Afterlife. I ended up falling asleep right there on the ground. I woke up and it was morning, but I wasn't in Ponyville anymore. I was in my bed. I was confused. I was back on Earth, but I didn't care. That was the best time I've ever had. I looked at the clock. It was 9:30 a.m. I have to get up and get ready for work. Most people would be mad in a situation like this. They would be crying that they were back on Earth. Me? I didn't give a fuck. I did what I wanted to do. That for me was good enough, and I will never forget it.